I love that ad.
I love that ad. I love that ad.
And hello, welcome back to another episode of I Love That Ad. I'm Shane Brennan, and as always, I'm joined by my co-host Aaron Chalke.
Hello.
And if you're watching episode 3, you know why we're here, to talk about ads that we love and just stuff that we want to discuss around them. So this week, the topic is going to be social media ads. So myself and Aaron have both got a social media ad or campaign that we've kind of found ourselves that we think is worth talking about. We're going to show it to each other kind of for the first time on the podcast. So Aaron, in general, what do you think of the old social media?
We got to do social. No, it's funny when the word social comes into meetings, or at least when it used to a couple of years ago. It was kind of a look around the rooms and, is it just a paid ad, or do you want to do something like an activation? So social was kind of, it's almost like a Pandora's box, that it could be one of a million things that could be as part of the campaign. And I suppose when we started researching for this episode, there's a couple of campaigns that kind of stood with me over the years, and one of them is what I'm going to show later on. But it was kind of, once you start looking at it, you can just go down a rabbit hole of a million different directions, because it just, that word social, it just covers every campaign almost that's out there at the minute, with even traditional campaigns.
Yeah, definitely. I remember being in those meetings, what is it, like 7 years ago now, where when social was mentioned, they'd always look at the youngest person in the room. And I'd be like, that person must know about this.
You're hip, you're happening.
Yeah.
You got a TikTok, have you?
You do this social because there's a grand total budget of €500 a month.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the media spend is 3 million. No. €500.
But there was also that kind of grey area where people didn't know where social set. Did the brand have to look after it? Is this the PR agency's job? Oh no, there's creative being used, it has to be the creative agency. And then the media spend is going through the media agency. So there's this kind of, not tug of war essentially, but a bit of kind of finding your way in terms of, and different, each brand kind of treated it differently. Some were way ahead of the others in terms of managing their own ones, and they're killing it, while others didn't even know how to log into an account that was already set up. Yeah,
definitely. Oh, no, I think there was 100% a tug of war, and it was just because it was unclaimed space.
Yeah.
And it was funny. It was a really small tug of war because there was no budget in it. So like, it was kind of like, it depends on which account you were on. Like, one creative agency mightn't care about it and be like, no, media can do that. We don't want to do it. We want to make our TV ad or whatever.
Yeah.
Or you could be dealing with more of like digitally led creative agency, and they'd be like, no, we want to control the content and make sure it gets seeded out correctly. But then it was like, when you were in a media agency, no, this is spend, so therefore it has to be media. So yeah, it was interesting. But I think I'd say, if I was to guess, the stuff that we're going to look at today were kind of social strategies that really had their shit together.
Yeah.
In a sense, like, and we're talking about back in kind of the Wild West equivalent of social media days, back in like 2010 to coming up to 2013. You know what I mean? Is when there was more of that tug of war. But I think social has definitely got its respect now, apart from obviously all the stuff going on with fake news and Twitter.
Yeah,
like it's
the whole social world is murky now at the minute. But in terms of campaigns and executions, and from a brand and advertising point of view, it's matured.
Yeah,
so much more in the last 2-3 years. It's really kind of come of its own age, and it's leading a lot of the charge, and that opens up a whole can of worms in terms of money going out of indigenous publishers into the likes of Facebook and Google and all that. And that's not what we're going to get into today, because there's a lot of other people, I think, that can talk a lot more at length at that. But as you said, Shane, these are campaigns that just used the platforms extremely well. They weren't just an ad as part of a campaign put on a social platform or something like that. These were kind of, they lived and breathed in a very native way on the platforms that were used.
Completely. Okay, so let's jump into mine first. I'll go first. So I've sent you on the link there, Aaron. If you let me know when you're about to hit play.
Yeah, I'm going to hit play in now.
When your source is located at the incredible, unique depth of 800 meters, and the face of your brand is a world freediving champion, then the inspiration to do something amazing and breathtaking isn't lacking. Yana Natural Mineral Water launched a new campaign, Deep Above All, that functionally and aspirationally delivered a message rooted in undisputed brand truth, depth. Goran Chalke, one of the best freedivers in the world, literally connected the two sides of depth, a real one and metaphorical one that is within all of us. His one-of-a-kind, breathtaking example continued to live on social media. Seen through his eyes, a unique Instagram profile was created, the deepest Instagram profile ever. Consisting of 160 rows of photography, a single visual representing an 800-meter dive gave people a somehow peaceful yet so interesting place, a grid to visit. Filled with facts about diving and sea depths, also delivering key messages from the campaign about depths connected to Yana Water and ourselves. The profile once again established that Yana is deep above all.
Yeah. So, what we might do now is we might actually, I've sent you the link to the actual profile itself so we can have a look. I would jump onto it there, see what you think. So like, what I really like,
images straight away.
Yeah, you love that 3-image look. This is by Sachi and Sachi Croatia. So one of the main reasons I was happy to show the video was the pronunciation of Yana, the pronunciation of the diver, Goran Chalke. I was looking into it, I was like, oh, there's got to be an easier way. But yeah, so what I thought was really cool about this is the brand identity of Yana is about essentially the water coming from 800 meters down and the amount of minerals it collects as it moves itself up to the spring. So it's just cool that they were able to tie that for the actual brand, it being a kind of a big thing or a big unique selling point for the brand, to something visually very interesting. You know what I mean? It's like and to use a space, Instagram, which traditionally can be quite shallow with regards to clicks and likes and what your experience would be. I like that they made a destination. So like if you actually go through and we scroll down through each of them, like I love that there's facts on each of the depths. Like eventually you get to a depth that no diver can go through to. Eventually it does just turn black.
I love that change in colour from the light blue right down to the kind of where the light stops actually getting through from the sun and getting darker and darker. I think that's a really cool change as you go along. I love that it's a platform that's built, a profile that's built on the platform, uses the scrollability of the platform perfectly, and then just leaves it. You know, as in is not trying to add additional posts and kind of wrecking the pagination of all the squares and the tiles.
And what was cool about it as well was I felt like I was exploring 800 meters. So like if you go to 210, 214 meters is the current freediving world record. And when you think about that, so that's what a freediving person would be seeing at that depth, which is insane.
That's pretty nuts.
And it goes down to like, when the lower you get, it's like, this is the depth a blue whale has ever recorded, or you know what I mean? Stuff like that. Like the biggest scuba diving depth, 332.35 meters. So like, it's just, I just really liked it. I thought it was a cool way. Like a water brand, it's difficult to really activate and to differentiate yourself. I just thought it was cool that they did something interesting, somewhere where you could go, and they kind of played and kind of tongue-in-cheek went against Instagram, but at the same time went with their own brand identity. You know what I mean? If you were to say, I want to show my brand's depth, you wouldn't go to use Instagram.
It's a bit of a risky one as well when you think about the current climate of, you know, environmental action and sustainability. they're a water brand, which their product is inherently in single-use plastic containers, and they do a campaign purely about water and the purity of the depth and all that kind of stuff. So
like, yeah, you'd be easy enough able to mock it up by just, as you go down, putting little pieces of plastic that you could see.
Yeah, it is, and like I'm sure that probably came up with the brand and the agencies when they were doing it. And to be honest, it didn't strike me when I was watching the case study or going through the profile. But just thinking about it retrospectively, it's they sidestepped it nicely, but also you could see why they should be open to.
I'm sure though, as a brand, as all those brands do have, is they'd have their response. You know what I mean? If we were to go onto their website, they'd have their green response that like 90% of their bottles are recycled or something like that. So they'd have their answer. They definitely wouldn't have gone out if they were exposed. You know what I mean?
You're probably right. Yeah, and actually, what struck me was the case study video. It felt like I was like in the pitch meeting. With the words they were using, like literally connecting one depth to another, and all this. Like it's like you can see the pitch happening in front of your eyes, and they just regurgitated that into the case study video.
And really, it's just cool. It's like, let's just do this. It's pretty cool. It's like, how do we sell this? That was one thing I wanted to ask you, and I was going to start asking you in episodes. Was how would you pitch that?
Yeah, that'd be a good bonus episode.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's definitely a hard one to get across. Yeah. But I thought it was really cool, and it obviously was very successful for them because they did a second one, which is they get you to turn your phone and you go up into space. Oh, so cool. I didn't look into that one because I was like, I don't know how that ties in with the brand, but water from space, unless they started getting water now from asteroids or something like that. But but it did look. I had a quick look at it, and it's just cool. It's cool once again just to engage with people and get them to move their device, like Andrew Schultz does with his Instagram videos, like turn your phone real quick and stuff like that. I just think it's it's interesting. It's a cool way to use the space, and I like the fact that they didn't muddy the waters, forgive the pun, of that profile by trying to do something else with it. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. It was just for that. They didn't post anything else on it. The Instagram profile is a microsite, for lack of a better word. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it was a cool way to do it. It's a cool way to do it, for sure. Cool. Well, we might move on to my one then.
Yeah, cool.
Great. So you tell me when you're ready to play.
I'm playing now.
Yeah, so that's the Louise Delage campaign. That's from 2017, I believe. So the whole premise of that was they set up Louise Delage as an influencer. They grew the profile really quickly. Got a lot of followers. But in every single one of her posts, she had an alcoholic drink in her hand or in the picture. So they basically it was pretty cool way of using Instagram. The showing life as through rose tinted glasses, the way Instagram does, but in every instance you can actually see that she's addicted to alcohol without realizing it, because of it's easy to miss, and really good way of bringing that to life. The campaign did massive, got international appeal. Got on articles from the likes of The Guardian on loads of kind of talk shows, and really kind of sparked the whole addiction kind of conversation and kind of being able to spot it and stuff. But I just thought it was a really cool way of using what is at the heart of social media, putting that best foot forward and kind of flipping it.
Yeah, no, really cool. At the start I was like, it's funny. I didn't notice. I was like, the minute was like, did they know what they're liking? And I was looking at the captions. I was like, is she like secretly racist? Is it like, what is this going to be? Is it like going to be gun violence? And I couldn't see it. I thought then potentially like loneliness because every picture was by herself or something like that. But then when they start to cut it and speed it up, you're like, she's drinking. But like that just shows how little we're aware of stuff like that. I was looking out for some common denominator that I could not spot that she had.
You're
alcohol.
actively trying to crack the ad.
Actively trying to piece it together because I knew something was coming. Yeah, really cool. Like I'd be really curious to see how they took that then and like actually made a difference potentially with it further on.
Yeah.
Like with the campaign, like it's really cool execution as a cool step one to be like trick all these people into liking this influencer and they don't even see the pattern. And then it's step two.
Well, she was outed then as a fraud because she wasn't a real person. So then that was basically the start of a massive PR campaign around addiction awareness. But using that, this is a fake Instagram profile that thousands of people like and follow and stuff like that. So that was a really good way to kind of spark the campaign in terms of, the campaign wasn't the everyday photo of her going up, it was the outing essentially, and that's what started the conversation, got panel shows talking about it, all that kind of stuff. There's a case study video on it as well, but it chose to show the ad because I think it's more impactful just seeing the ad without the kind of the additional stuff. So just thought it was really cool because, like, I don't know about you, Shane, but when you think of social campaigns, you just think of a lot of kind of like Super Bowl ads extended that are used on social, or like the John Lewis ads that are Christmas time and stuff like that. Whereas it's kind of nice to see campaigns that are just literally using the profiles or the platforms to what they are, and kind of the innate DNA that's within them, and using that as the campaign as opposed to just posting a nice video on it trying to make people cry or whatever.
Yeah, I completely agree, and that's weird that we both essentially chose something that did that.
Yeah.
In different ways, but like I think what that really shows is, it's not a one size fit all when you have a creative concept. I think a lot of times, and due to time constraints, as we know from previous campaigns, and due to budgetary constraints, you're like, right, this is what we want to do. Okay, we need to get across as many platforms as possible. Whereas really, if you had the time to sit down and think of every single platform individually, you'd probably tweak stuff a bit better towards, be it Instagram, be it Facebook, be it Twitter. Like the fact that Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter are treated pretty much the exact same on most social campaigns when they're very different.
Yeah.
The audience is very different.
Well, these kind of campaigns
interact on them
feel like they're like built specifically for them.
Yeah.
Though. Do you know what I mean? It's not a case of we have an above the line media campaign, we have our TV, we have our radio, now what can we do on social? This felt like it was, okay, this is what the problem is, here's how we need to solve it, let's do it using this idea on Instagram, for example. So it's like it lives and breathes there, and then everything else was kind of auxiliary to that.
And what's interesting is like much cheaper. Like I'd say that like you take the thing I showed was not expensive, and what you showed is not. It's just photographs and dressing sets and stuff like that. Like you can get it done very quickly, and if you do something right, you will get the same reach you can get on a TV campaign, but you'll get a more engaged audience. But like, it's funny, you can sacrifice initial bought audience for future engaged masses, if that makes sense. And I think it's just looking at stuff differently, and I just think it's really cool when you do see a brand or agencies that are willing to actually pitch that, be like, this is what you need to do, here's the approach we want to do, and this is the overall plan of how we think you need to approach it. Who made that? Sorry, that
was a agency called BETC. They're an agency in Paris in France, because it was a French campaign, I believe. So they're the ones who came up with that. I think it won a good few Cannes. It got a silver DNAD, and
cool.
yeah, it kind of did the awards season and got its results from it. But I think just to kind of to harp back to that point you made there, I think it is about, it's not about let's use social to fix this or to solve this brief. I think the brief was solved, and the best platform to bring that to life was Instagram, or whatever the profiles were for it. So it's instead of just going, we have to have TV, we have to have VOD, we have to have social, it was problem first, solve that. Now where does it live in its best possible form? And for these, I think that's Instagram, and for both campaigns.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, that's really cool. I think we'll call it a wrap for this episode. You happy? Anything else to say?
No, I'm good. If there's any comments on either campaigns, give us a shout. Drops a note on social. Yeah,
and as always, if you have any campaigns you do want us to look at, you DM us, hit us up on social. If you have any comments on today's episode, hit us up as well. Happy to take any feedback, and hopefully we will see you again. Take it easy.
Bye bye.